So when you're as famous as Andrew Tate is, the most googled man in the earth, you're gonna have some idiots that follow you, okay? This guy's one of them. Dr. Phil invited him onto his show and he's condemned the full interview down to 4 minutes, so it's obviously gonna benefit Dr. Phil. He's not gonna put any parts in that make him look dumb. So let's instantly just look at this show.
As when he was a teen, he had zero self-esteem, never got past the first date, and felt powerless with girls. But he says men like Andrew Tate inspired him to break out of his shell. Wow. So you understand women?
Yeah.
So for a start, he's dick sucking Andrew Tate by going bald. Not even Tristan's gone bald. I couldn't name you one of Andrew Tate's friends who's gone bald other than Aidan Ross. And even he's grew his hair back.
How do you understand women so well?
Oh, just life experience. I've put myself out there a lot and had my fair share of learning. I've read a lot and experienced a lot of different perspectives.
So they've gotten a guy who's incredibly shy and nervous, clearly isn't very intelligent, and didn't and never has had a proper girlfriend. He's very impressionable and they've played him out like an idiot in front of a bunch of people. Maybe he is, but that's still pretty bad. He comes across to me like someone who'll follow every single trend religiously and he'll become whatever he's viewing. I like Batman, but I don't dress up like Batman. He would.
And did my best to put them all together.
You're a sexual energy coach.
Look at this in the back. The demise of guys and toxic masculinity in the headline. Let me break it to you. Guys are going down, definitely. But toxic masculinity is not a thing. Masculinity is a good thing. The Matrix has created a negative name for masculinity just for strong and intelligent guys to become weak. A strong body is a strong mind. And then we push people like Lil Nas X and Sam Smith for guys to idolise. People who idolise their pop stars. We need people like Andrew Tate about. I just want to point out the Matrix is very real, and I personally always knew it existed. I was speaking to my friend, he also knew it existed. I think he called it the cycle or something. And if you don't know what the Matrix is, it's people like the BBC, the televisions, the movies you watch, the people in charge like the governments and that. It's so much. It's just like whatever tries to control your mind. Like TikTok's the Matrix. And if you don't believe in the Matrix, just think of this. How come in the world everyone always has the same opinions at the same time? Everyone was okay with black slavery and racism, but now everyone is anti-racist. Everyone in Germany supported Hitler, now everyone in Germany is super against him. Everyone was against homosexuality, now everyone is suddenly all for it. There are so many more examples, but if you speak to 100 people from the same generation, they'll always have the same opinion about controversial topics. That applies to every generation.
You don't have a girlfriend?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. So you're telling other people how to get girlfriends and you don't have one.
This is such a cunty trick from Dr. Phil. He's stuttering and pausing in his response as he repeats what the guys just said just to make his statement look weak and stupid. In reality, he's not going to invite someone intelligent on to argue with. He wants to look like the smartest guy in the room. He's an excessively shy person and he's now confident and he's wanting to show people how he's achieved this. But he's not used to these kind of debates. Dr. Phil is. Now chances are this guy's tips and tricks are fucking shite, right? But I've grown up and realised people don't want to work dead-end jobs, so they'll become anything to break out of the 9 to 5. They'll become porn stars or anything. They'll give you useless advice. I respect it. I honestly do see why people also try and scam people. As bad as it is and as much as they need to be shut down, you gotta think what families they have. People rob and steal because of their families, you know what I mean? But this can't be compared to that, right? This is just a guy who's made some fucking course or something and it's probably shite. But what he's doing is very unsaturated anyway.
My clients have found girlfriends because of me.
Okay. And how do you define masculinity?
Integrity under pressure.
And you were saying that women want a man that what?
They want a man who knows what he values, a man who's good at building something, a man who's multidimensional and integrated, who can be masculine, but is also emotionally aware, intelligent, and fearless when it comes to achieving his goals.
Are you an Andrew Tate adherent?
So he's listed off all these reasons why men should be masculine. His points are okay, they probably could have been better, but he's not wrong. Then Dr. Phil tries to combat this by saying, here's a guy who's strong, who said some things about lasses. Completely unrelated, may I add.
He's an extreme person. Like, he is not your normal, average guy.
I wrote down some of the things that he said. Some of them I absolutely cannot repeat.
The guy's response to Dr. Phil's questions are not very good, and you can clearly see by his body language that he's nervous and shaking, and he doesn't have a chance to think of his answers. If you tell him to go home for a day, he'd probably think of a decent response. But he's under pressure. Like I say, he's a very shy guy, we've established that. He is crumbling under the pressure. I will answer the questions for him in this video.
But he says, I think my sister is her husband's property. Would you agree with that line of thinking?
Not in the literal sense, no.
Well, I understand. He doesn't have.
Yeah, well, I mean,
He doesn't own her.
women are obviously people, not objects, but
Naming them as property is obviously a pretty derogatory word, and I think he's used that word for shock and attention that he gathers off it. But if you analyse what Tate means by that, he is spot on. Men look after their chick, and if it's your girl, it's your responsibility. You as a man, you pay for your girl's food, clothes, everything she wants. You work a job you hate so that she can live a nice life in a nice house. You'll fight anyone who starts on her, no matter how strong, and you'll defend her verbally as well. Anyone who starts on her, you've got her back. Like I said, physically, verbally, whatever. And if you are working a job you absolutely hate, or even a job at all, for her, and your money's going into her, she deserves to treat you with respect. And the guy definitely has the right to say, no, you can't go out for a walk at this time because it's dangerous, or no, you shouldn't go out to a nightclub by yourself dressed up like that. If anything happens to her, it's the man's responsibility. And the woman shouldn't be expected not to have a bodyguard and finance covering boyfriend defending her. He defends her and everything like that. Property is just a bad way of wording it. If you look after someone, then you definitely have a few rules and responsibilities that you have over them.
He describes a sexual encounter and says that's how it goes. Slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex. That's how it should be.
well, if it's consensual, then it's all good.
Absolutely nothing wrong with this at all. First of all, don't get me wrong. Obviously, most of us probably have slapped and choked lasses during sex. I mean, let's be honest here, they fucking like it. But most importantly, it's a joke. Because in the same video, he says this.
I mean, if you're a really good friend, no, not even if you're a friend. You better, if you're my friend, you just can't be a pussy. Well, I had a heart attack. Get the fuck up. The fuck's wrong with you? Go to hospital later. Have a drink. Cigarette, cup of coffee. Get back in the game. Fucking having heart attacks near me, you little pussy.
And let's not forget that he said in the scenario the lass is horny as well, so yeah. That covers the fucking sex part, making it consensual, whatever. This is a response to what happens if a girl attacks you with a machete. I think if I was attacked with a machete, I might slap someone. But I'd probably run away, but if you slap someone, you can't criticise it. You've been attacked with a machete and you've slapped someone and you call that a bad thing. I keep seeing these lasses post this on their story, all of them, loads of them post it. And that's seen as funny, giving your lad a black eye to show that you take your relationship seriously. Yeah, that's alright. And I'm sure you've all seen the clip where the woman's applauded for pointlessly attacking a man.
Put him in a chokehold, held him until he passed out.
Now, normally I would never react to a video like this, but watching that's just really boiled my blood. I've not seen the whole video, but what I have seen of it is an audience cheering a woman retaliating to her husband by choking him out and until he passed out, and then moaning that she got charged by the police. Like, women talk about domestic violence all the time, but what needs to be spoke about as well is that women also abuse men in the household. So the fact that that's being condoned.
And I think it's actually a boyfriend as well. But this joke about slapping a girl who attacked you with a machete is worse than black eye jokes on lads. I'd rather have a slap than a black eye.
He says, I'm not a blanking rapist, but I like the idea of being able to do what I want. And I don't believe women are as smart as men.
Well, sounds really misogynistic.
This whole wanting to do what you can to a girl is taken so far out of context. What Andrew Tate is referring to here is the fear in the Western world that so many men have. I have this fear, and what the fear is you consensually have sex with a lass, completely follow the law, completely respect her, and then later on down the line, for whatever reason, but probably because it benefits them or they're just bitter or regret it or whatever, they'll lie about you. They'll lie about you raping. You can't have sex and not worry about being accused of something that never happened if you get famous 10, 20 or even 30 years down the line. Or even if they just feel like it, like they might not like you anymore. Oh, he raped me like 20 years ago. Even though it never happened. You're not free to have consensual sex with a woman because you'll get accused of fuck knows who by one of them eventually. It's every lad's biggest fear, and it's why Andrew Tate lives in Romania. Nothing wrong with anything Dr. Phil's brought up here. He has taken that so far out of context. And for the whole women aren't as smart as men thing, just fuck off with that. Literally nothing wrong with it. I hear so many women saying the same thing, just reversed. And every single time you're hearing about an achievement where it's the first woman to do whatever, It's something countless guys have done. Every historic building or Olympic achievement or invention was by a man. The world wars were fought and won by men. Men have truly suffered for women to live good lives. Just to come out and say guys are useless as they're typing it on their phones created by guys as they sit down in a house probably built by guys in a street fought for by guys. I rest my case. Thanks for watching this video and I will catch you next time. Peace.